and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you all to compare with the tube. Hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello there, everybody. Today's vid, everybody, we are going to be trying is the ultimate word, to tweak the Zoom G5n to sound closer to this board. This has been my main pedal board lineup for years. And it's just the sound that I feel most comfortable with. Next along the line from this is my Line 6 HX. And when I did the video, I think it was like a week ago now, comparing this to my other pedal boards, the Zoom just came stone dead last. And I can't deal with that because I am a massive Zoom pedal fan. And I can't hack it, the fact that it sounded so terrible. Well, it didn't sound terrible, but it didn't sound great compared to my pedal board. I really want this pedal to be good. Flaws aside, scroll functions, get out, get in the bin. Give me buttons. I need to press buttons, you know, like this. Scroll. We're not living in the Middle Ages. Excuse me, sir, could you scroll to my next effect? Certainly, sir. That's more like some kind of weird posh restaurant, actually. That's not really Middle Ages. Anyway, I've lost my mind already. What's new? Anyway, moving along swiftly. I'm a bit hyper today. I don't know why. Anyway, that's good. So yeah, so today what we're going to try and do, we're going to try and get the Zoom G5n to sound more like this. Because it doesn't, and it sounds either the clean tone sounds too harsh and it's really fizzy, which I have tweaked since the video, actually. Since the pedal board comparison video, I have tweaked the clean tone on this, so it'll be interesting to see with the first comparison I'm going to do in a minute how that's changed, because the clean tone on this, in that video, was thin and harsh and quite nasty, if I'm being perfectly honest. It was really quite harsh sounding. Whereas the clean tone on this board just sounded a lot nicer. It really did. And also the HX and the Helix sounded nicer as well. So what we're going to do is basically just like simple sounds. We're not going to go kind of like heavy into kind of like, you know, trying to do delays and modulations and stuff like that thing. I'm just going to go for my core sounds. That's what I want to get kind of dialed in better today on the Zoom G5, which is my cleanish John Frusciante-esque kind of tone, which is the Marshall jackhammer on this pedal board. And it gives me that kind of not clean, but kind of aggressive kind of, you know, John Frusciante basically. So we're going to go for that. That's going to be like tone 1 we're going to attempt to get to, is kind of like that cleanish kind of tone. And then tone 2, which is going to be a distortion tone. And I'm going to try, and I don't know why I said that twice, and balance it between the sound of the Governor and the DS2. I kind of want a mid-ground between both these two, just because I can only have one. I kind of want it to be a kind of like a weird hybrid between the Governor's aggressiveness and the warm singiness of the DS2. So that's kind of what I want for the distortion at the Zoom G5, is a combination of these two, where it's aggressive and it cuts, because the distortion on that was so dark and woolly when we did the comparison video. It's just so kind of like, there wasn't a great deal to it. You know, it was very, very dark. And it didn't particularly sound, it didn't have really much character to it, whereas this did. So what I want like a cutting kind of distortion, but I want it to sing and be kind of like have a bit of warmth, not loads of warmth, because otherwise you'll just get lost in the mix. And but I want it to sing like the DS2. So when you kick on the DS2, it just becomes lovely and singy, but it's still got that cut, which is always key. So that's what we're going to go for today. It's that clean and distortion, which are kind of like my main sounds. And we're also going to try and balance the reverb as well, because that's finicky. It's really finicky with effects and where it wants to be have effects and this, that and the other. So So yeah, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little comparison first, just a little snippet of clean. So I'll do a clean tone on cleanish tone on my pedal board, and then you'll hear a cleanish tone on the Zoom, and then you'll hear a distortion tone. Which what I'm going to do for the distortion tone is going to run the governor and the DS2 together. The jackhammer will be off, so it'll just be the governor and the DS2. That's the sound I want to try and replicate. So and then you'll hear a distortion tone with them two, and then a distortion tone with this, and basically then, like, we'll go from there, and I'll basically explain kind of along the way what I'm doing and how I'm changing and what I'm changing and why I'm changing it, so to say. So without further ado, let's get into this. So comparison first, cleanish tone on the pedal, the jackhammer, and then going to the Zoom, cleanish tone, and then distortion tone on the pedal board, which is the governor and DS2, and then distortion tone on the Zoom. So without further ado, let us try and tweak the G5n to sound more like this, because I am not giving up on this yet. I mean, I'm giving up on the scroll function, that can get in the bin, definitely, but I'm not giving up on this pedal, because I think we can get there. I think we can get there. So, I really hope we can get there. Otherwise, I'm just going to get angry and throw it out the window. That'd be an interesting bit of the video. Ah! Anyway. Okay, so yeah, comparison first, and then we'll move from there. Okay, so wasn't quite expecting what I just heard. So the distortion needs tweaking. The distortion between the pedal board and the Zoom G5. The G5 just sounded weak. It had no power. It was just really kind of like anemic sounding. It sounded good, definitely, but there was no power to it. It was just kind of like, whereas this one was like that. It was really a lot more aggressive. But when I went to the neck pickup and did the little solo bit with the pedal board, the analog pedals, it just sang, and it was such a oh, I just love it. I love it so much. Boss DS2, Marshall Governor, but the Zoom didn't quite have the cut. It didn't have the cut. It was very kind of like, a bit like this. It was like someone was gagging it. It wasn't very open sounding. The clean tone though, I couldn't tell a difference. And that freaks me out because I have tweaked the Zoom G5 since the shootout pedalboard thing. And what I did is I lowered the treble and the presence, sorry. I lowered both of them. I had both of them at about 50 and I lowered both of them to 30. And I also boosted the bass on the amp model all the way. So, God, I hate scroll function. So yeah, so this is what I did. This is I've got a difference now in EQ that I had on that day. So I had bass on the day I did the comparison, the shootout. I had bass on the Zoom G5. Bass was on 0, mid was on 70, presence and treble were on 50. I had the input 1 at 22, so gain at 22. Input 2 was off, and I had volume all the way up on 100. So it's changed now. I've altered this since, and I wish I'd filmed it now because obviously it sounds identical now. That freaks me out. I don't know. People will shoot. What did you think? Did you think it sounded identical? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'll have to go and listen again after this. But we're going to tweak the distortion because I don't feel the need to tweak the clean anymore. And we're going to try a couple of things with distortion. I'm going to have to throw some more stuff into this now. So I've changed that now. So now bass and mid on the Zoom G5. I'm using the 1959 Plexi model inside the Zoom. I have bass and middle at 100, so they're both maxed out. I have full mids and I have full bass. And I turned treble and presence down to 30. So both of them are at 30, and I also turned the input down to 20, so it's just 2 less. But that's one thing I love about this pedal, is the EQ is so... It works so well. It's so precise. It's the way you would want the EQ to work. If you want more treble, if you want more mids, you turn that dial up and you get more. Whereas if you don't want it and you turn it down, you get less. You know. Whereas certain things don't work that way all the time. You know what I mean? It's weird. Sometimes, like, you know, you want less treble. You turn down the treble, you get more bass. You know what I mean? Like, things interact in a weird way. Whereas the Zoom G5 really nails its kind of like the way it behaves. You know what I mean? The way its EQ behaves. I don't like it when EQ affects EQ. So like when middle affects treble and treble affects bass and treble affects presence and presence affects mid. I don't like that. I like them to be all separate entities, because if I want to cut a frequency or boost a frequency, I only want that frequency boosted. If I want less treble, I don't want the bass to come up. Because unfortunately the orange CR120 does that, and it drives me a bit balmy. It only does it on the clean channel though. That's why I don't like the clean channel on the CR120. It's just a really weird channel. I don't really feel it needs to be there. In all fairness, the CR120 to me is a 1-channel amp. It's the dirty channel and that's it. The clean channel I never use. I don't like it at all. Anyway, back to the Zoom and pedalboard. But yeah, so I've changed the clean setting I had from the comparison video, and I think that just about nailed it. The way it responded, when I was filming the comparison, I was like, this feels pretty much identical to the jackhammer. It felt pretty much identical. It was really strange. Anyway, so clean channel, clean setting, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And anybody who wants to know, again, just if you've got a Zoom G5, this is the setting. I've got bass and mid on 100, treble and presence are on 30, input 1 is on 20, input 2 is off, and volume is 100. Also, the patch level inside the Zoom G5 I have at 100. I'll just check, but I'm pretty positive. Yes, the patch level is at 100 as well. And also the master level, which I failed to mention in the comparison video, the master level is straight up at 12 o'clock. So it's basically at 0. That's what Zoom say in their instruction manual is. When the master level on the pedal is at 12 o'clock, it's kind of neutral, if you will. From there, you can kind of cut or boost it. But I find it sounds best at 12 o'clock. Unfortunately, at 12 o'clock, it does make certain things naff. But like reverbs and delays start to distort. I don't really know why that is. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, clean channel, I don't need to tweak it. That's bizarre. I expected to be here for hours trying to get that clean sound tweaked, but hey, looks like I got it the other day. It was weird. I was just to tell you what I did is, like I said, I basically just lowered the treble and boosted the bass and boosted the mids. That's all I did. Like I said, I just cranked up the mids, cranked up the bass, lowered the treble, lowered the presence, and lowered the gain a little bit. I thought in the comparison video the Zoom sounded a little bit too distorted. It was a little bit too distorted for my liking. I didn't really like it. So, Okay, so that's one job down, and I didn't barely have to do anything. Anyway, so but I'm happy about that because the zoom's gradually clawing it back, and I'm like, yes, so happy. I'm so determined to get this thing to work. Scroll function be damned. Stop talking about scrolls, Dave. You're obsessed. So let's work on distortion. So the distortion on the zoom was dull and lifeless. The governor and the DS2 was aggressive. So how have I got this set? I'm using the dynamic drive, the DYN drive in the zoom. And the problem with the DYN drive at this point in time is I have the tone maxed out. So what I'm going to do, and what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to use the room mics for this. I'm not going to bother miking it up now. I'm just going to use the room mics, let you hear it in the room, and then at the end of this we'll do a comparison because I want to be able to like quickly record and stop recording, and also change things around in kind of like real time instead of stopping the camera, just because once I get kind of going, I don't want to be kind of like stopping and starting to, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to do first is we're going to max out the volume on the DYN drive, because when you turn the volume up on these distortion effects in the zoom, they get brighter. So I've now turned that off on 100. So basically, the DYN drive on the zoom is now maxed out. Gains on 100, tones on 100, volumes on 100, and it's set to the stack mode. So let's see if that does anything whatsoever. So I'm going to remount the camera. I'm going to move you over there, actually, just so you don't get blasted by the cab. Again, this is just going to be room mic, so this isn't going to be a very good approximation, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of like, hear something, if you know what I mean. And then what we'll do at the end of it, we'll do the close mic thing with the 57. So let's try that. Let's just see what happens, because I might need to pick another distortion module yet. Because as much as I love the DYN drive, it does definitely sound lifeless and dull. So enough talking. Let's make some more noise. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. I've had to turn down the room mics because it's loud, but I want to hear it at a volume. So this is the pedal board. This is the Marshall Governor and the DS2, and I hope you can hear me. So yeah. That is one hell of a sound. It really is. Love that sound. Love it. Love it. Yeah, because going into the zoom. Remember, this is the volume maxed out now. So. No, it's not there. It's. Let me come over here so I can talk. I will sit here. So from what I can hear there, just in the first seconds, it's still too dark. It's still too dark and woolly. So let's scroll through distortions. Let's see if we can scroll through some distortions and see if we can find one that's a bit more aggressive. Because the DYN isn't cutting. It's not cutting it. So come with me actually. Come closer. I will turn the amp down. Okay, so yeah, so the DYN is just really woolly. It sounds really nice. But it hasn't quite got a cut. You know what I mean? It doesn't cut, there's nothing there, and it sounds a bit... I don't want to say lifeless, because it doesn't sound lifeless, it sounds really good, but... If we go back quick to the DS2, let me just... Oh, by the way, everyone, I'm using the MG today just because I know it so well, and I always dial in pedals with MGs. So back to the Governor and DS2. You kind of hear there's a lot of cut to that, but there's a lot of bass. And there's a lot of gain, but there's a lot of kind of a mid as well. There's like this kind of, it's the DS2's mid. It's got this kind of honky kind of thing, which I love. kind of hear it on those double stops really well. There's this kind of like mid-range nasally thing, which I really, really love, and again, that's the DS2. And the reason I like that so much is because when you go to the neck pickup, it sounds, it sings more. Without the, if I just use the jackhammer and the governor, it sings, but it doesn't sing in the same way. So this is just the jackhammer and the governor. Which is really, really nice, but can be a little bit too aggressive. Whereas if I had the DS2 with that mid-range hump, it's smoother, it sings more. Yes, it's got a bit more of a singy kind of voice to it. So, we need to find a different distortion that sounds more like that. Okay, so I've got that in my head. So, oh, mute the app, Dave. Okay, so moving along. Lead-tastic down here, people. Okay, moving on. So, it just doesn't have the power. It's just no power to that sound. It sounds good, but it's just nothing. It's just a bit kind of like, it's a bit timid. You know, that's the way it feels. It's very timid sound. It doesn't quite have the oomph. So Red Crunch. That's even darker. Metal World. Do you hear that? 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Go back to the DS2 quick. Come here, lead. Okay, just 1 minute. Bear with me. There's a mid-hump. There shouldn't be a mid-hump in a metal sound, but this is the DS2. I'm using the DS2 with a jackhammer here. Okay. It can't be this easy. It can't be this easy. Okay, so what if I max out the gain, max out the bass, max out the volume, leave the treble at 50. So on the Metal World setting at this point in time, we have gain, bass, treble and volume. It's still too dark. So against everything that I hold dear, I'm going to increase the treble to 100. But I don't think that's going to make it harsh, because that's really dark. Actually, what does it sound like? What does it sound like at this point in time in comparison? It can't be this simple. It can't be this easy. There has to be more tweaking involved. Okay, yeah, I've got the right lead in. Okay, so again, we'll go for the Marshall Governor and the DS2. Yeah, that's still definitely a lot darker. So, okay, so 100, 100, 100, 100. Just max out the pedal. Okay, so that's the sound I want, or approximate sound I want, because it's never going to sound 100%. That's fine. I'm not after perfection, but I just want it to sound better. So now we're back to the zoom. No way. to do a comparison, everybody. So let's plug in the 57 and we'll do a comparison again. Okay. Be right back. Okay, so pedalboard first and then zoom second. So this is the Marshall Governor and the DS2. Okie dokie, so there's a comparison between the Governor and the DS2 versus the G5n, and I think we found a winner, and this is why I'm so kind of like in love with this pedal, is because you're never too far away from something that does what you want it to do, and you never got too many options. You know what I mean? But I would have never have picked Metal World in a million years. I mean, I haven't even used Metal World because I thought Metal World is going to have like no mids and it's just going to be scooped. There's no scoop in that. There's actually more mids. It's got that honk, that mid-range honk that the DS2's got. You've learned something today, Dave. Don't ever just assume you know something. Just accept the fact you know nothing and move on with life. Okay, that's words of wisdom there, Dave. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. Hooray! Moving along. So that to me sounded really close. It sounded wicked, actually. That is the pretty much the exact sound I want. Like I said, approximation of a Marshall Governor and the DS2. It sang, but I think the treble's too high for me. It had a cut. It definitely cut more. You can hear it. It definitely cuts more. But when you go to the neck pickup, it's just a little bit too... I don't want to say harsh, because that's definitely not harsh. I was sat right next to this cab, and it hasn't hurt me. You know what I mean? It's not like... So I'm going to lower the treble. Let's try it at 90. So let me just start at 100. So this is treble, like I say, gain-based treble and volume at this point in time on the Metal World pedal. Well, Metal module. They're all on 100. And as I say, I can hear, now I've listened to the comparison between the two pedal boards, I can hear that it's not harshness, but it's too bright. So I'm going to lower the treble. Ooh. Not quite. Hang on. Moving it down. I'm trying to do as many double stops as I possibly can because that's where I really hear that DS2 honk, and that's what I'm trying to get. So I've turned the treble down to 80 now. It wasn't 100, so it's on 80. Oh, by the way, everybody, yeah, I'm using my white Strat because, like I say, this is my guitar. If I'm testing anything, my white Strat is my mate. I know what he sounds like. No ifs, no buts. And I know if it sounds good on this guitar, it'll sound good with any of my guitars. I dial everything in with this guitar. Every pedal I've ever owned, ever demoed. Even if I don't use this guitar in the review, I always dial in the pedal, amp, whatever it is, with this guitar. Because as soon as I get it sounding good with this guitar, sounding good, sounding where I want it to sound, I know no matter what I plug into it guitar-wise, it'll be a happy sound, if that makes any sense. So, so let's go back to main pedal board, because now that's on 80. I think I think that might be too dark now. I don't know. So back to pedal board town. So Governor in DS2. Okay. Back to Zoomy. That's too dark now. That's way too dark. Let me just do another check. It doesn't quite sound. It's lost the cut. I feel it's like lost the cut. Back to the DS2 and the Governor. Okay. Ooh, get back in. Say, it's not got the brightness now, so I'm going to turn the treble back up to 90. Because that might be the place it needs to be. No, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. Okay. I was expecting to get more frustrated with a clean sound, if I'm being perfectly honest, which obviously never happened. Because I don't need to tweak that anymore. Not quite. Okay, what about 95? Oh, here we go. Okay, so the more I boost that treble, and again, this is another thing I love about this Zoom, is just little increments on this thing are so powerful. The EQ shaping you have with this thing is incredible. It's so cool. It's exactly like the Zoom G2. When you're dialing in sound straight from this, it's so easy to get a sound you like. It's so quick and easy, and just to dial it in. So let's listen to this again, and I'll turn that off. Yeah. Oh, lost my plectrum. That's not cool. Okay, come back. Unplug. Plug in. Turn on. That's coming loose. Need a screwdriver. Okay. It doesn't quite have as much low end, but that's not a bad thing. That's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not going to lose sleep over it not sounding as big as the pedals, because the Marshall Governor has deep dial. And that just has so much low end, so it won't make any difference at all. That's fine. The Marshall Governor is dead unique because of that deep dial, and that's why I love the Marshall Governor over any distortion pedal. Well, apart from DS2, obviously. But actually, I'll tell you what. Let's do a comparison quick, just between the jackhammer and the DS2. Let's just take the Governor out of the equation for a minute because of that deep dial, and let's switch it up and just have a thought. It might sound a bit more closer with just using the jackhammer and the DS2. So let's do a comparison between the jackhammer and the DS2, and then the Zoom G5n's Metal World setting. So let's do that quick. Okay, so this is getting a bit silly now. I'm starting to really love this, and that I don't know. I just want to do another comparison quickly between the jackhammer and the DS2 versus this again, but I've turned the treble back up to 100 on that because in that last comparison, although I really loved the sound of this, it still didn't quite have enough cut, if you know what I mean. So I've maxed out the Metal World setting again, so basically everything's on 100 again, even treble. What is the world coming to? I mean, I know the world's going mad right now, but Dave Simpson using treble on 100? Stop the presses! Anyway, so where are we? So yeah, so... I lost reverb. Where's my reverb off? Hang on. Give me a minute. There we go, we're back. Okay, so so this is the jackhammer and the DS2, and like I said, I hope you can... I know I've got it really low, but I'll say we'll do more comparisons. But this is the jackhammer and the DS2. Love that sound. It's got so much kind of like warmth, but it cuts. You know what I mean? And that is really key. I always really... Well, I'll tell you in a sec what I mean by that. Okay, so going back to the zoom here, everything on 100. I like this. I never thought of... That doesn't sound like any metal pedal I've ever heard. I would expect it to sound dead scoopy. You know, really Master of Puppets, shred kind of sound. Really fizzy and especially with single coils, I would expect... But that's got a mid-range hump. It's got mids to it. You can hear them, on, especially if I do those double snaps. That that kind of nasally thing. And yeah, I mean, with a treble on 100, it's got cut. It doesn't quite have as much as that. But like I said, I'm happy to compromise, especially when something sounds that good. It's got the lows. I mean, that big fat low end. I'm just making sure everything's on 100. Because that's 90. Well, that's 89 more, isn't it? no way I can be that happy and that done with that already. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm saving this. Okay, so never in a million years did I think the metal world would have worked, but I'm really happy with that. My gravy. Yeah, that's wicked. That is wicked. How does it respond with the delay? Just out of curiosity, because this is my main qualm with this pedal, is the fact of, if you want the delay to sound good, you have to run it on the other side of the amp module, which means you have to scroll to get to it, which is really stupid. So, can I move? No, I can't move things around because of where I've got the wah-wah. No, it's impossible for me to do it. It's basically impossible for me to actually have the delay on the right side of the amp and be able to access it easily, which is really stupid. So, this might sound really rubbish. It's like a really distorted, messy delay. Like, if I go to my pedal board here quick and kick on a delay, well, press on the delay, I can't kick it on because my feet, I'm sat on them. So jackhammer DS2, and then we'll turn on a delay. Nice clean sounding delay, whereas, and again that's going through the front end, but whereas the delay on the Zoom sounds just rubbish. There's no definition to it, it's just fizzy and rubbish. But if I move that delay to the other side of my amp module, so it's on the right side of the amp module now, so it's on the other side of the distortion, it'll probably sound better. I ain't got enough mix now. That's better. That's too much mix, but still too much mix. What about 4? So that makes me happy. But to get to that delay now, I have to scroll, to get back to my distortion, I have to scroll 3 times to turn my distortion off, and then scroll back 3 to turn the delay on. So I mean, this is so stupid, Zoom. This is so stupid. So if I had the distortion on, and I was going for a solo now where I wanted delay on it, I'd have to do this. Hang on. So I'm coming up to a solo. You just can't get to anything quick. It's so frustrating. And because I like to run the wah-wah pedal on the right side of the distortion, so I can get that John Frusciante wah-wah thing, I can't have it fit in the windows because the amp model takes up 2. So if I was to kind of have it, I would have to run the wah pedal on the other side, which I don't want to do because I don't like the sound of it. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so stupid and annoying. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, anyway, so I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. I didn't expect it to be that quick. That was stupid. Okay, so I never expected in a million years that. Oh, I've still got delay on. Let's scroll. God, that is so dumb. Oh, it drives me insane. Anyway, just to quickly tell you as well, what I always look for in the distortion, apart from mids, is I want it to palm mute really well. I've always liked palm muting sounds. It comes from my love for Jerry Cantrell when he would do palm muting. I've always loved Jerry Cantrell's palm muting sound because it's really aggressive and nigh but fat. like you can hear it in like Man in the Box and stuff like in like Sea of Sorrow and stuff like that. There's just this sound that Jerry has, and Love Hate Love. It's all the facelift sound basically. But there's this. I just love his palm muting sound. I've always loved it, and I've always, when I go through distortion, I want it to palm mute nicely. And invariably, I always find if it palm mutes nicely, it'll sing when I go to a neck pickup. Okay, so now I want to see what this sounds like. Volume up, just the zoom. So forget this pedal board for the time being. I want to see what this sounds like. This Metal World thing sounds like. With the amp turned up and the volume, messing around with my volume, I want to roll my volume down, see if I can get kind of like a bluesier kind of edge of breakup kind of blues kind of tone. I also want to know what Univibe sounds like, because I really like the Univibe inside the Zoom. It's a really cool sound. And I also want to know what the wah wah sounds like as well, the wah 100 in here. I want to know what that sounds like. I want to know how that responds to the Metal World thing. Because it's brighter. It should have more intensity. The wah should have more intensity. So let me do a bit of a rearrange so I can actually access the pedal. And let's turn the amp up and let's have a listen to it properly. Because I don't think I need to do any more comparison and inning. I'm really happy with the way that Metal World sounds. I like the way it palm mutes. I like the way it sings. It's got the right mids. Even with the treble 100. What the hell? Good gravy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. The clean tone's fine, the distortion's fine. They're my two basic sounds, so anything I put over the top of that is just like, happy days. The only thing that's stupid is I've got to have the delay on that bloody side of the blooming amp model, which means I have to use a scroll function. That rules it out for me for live, because I couldn't use that live because it would drive me insane, because I like to be able to turn things off and on when I feel like it. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to kind of go, oh, I want to turn delay on now. Okay, oh, I want to turn it off, but I need to turn distortion off really quickly. It's so stupid. So stupid. Okay, so calm down, Dave. Calm down. I know you don't like it. Calm down. Okay. Okay, so let's turn the amp back up full whack and let's have a... Let me see how this sounds. Let me see how it cleans up. Okie people of the tube. I'm gonna leave it there because I don't think I get any closer. I think I'm happy with that as a compromise. Got a chorus on. Give me a minute. I'm happy with that. There is a problem in the fact that the Univibe sounded terrible when I cranked up the volume. So now it's thrown up a whole new thing. But in all fairness, Univibe is an effect that I only use occasionally. So I'll come back to that another day. I've just deleted it. I say my main concern is just the fact of where you have to run things, and you have to use the scroll function. There is no way around it. You have to use these stupid paddles. No matter what you do. And that drives me a bit balmy. Because that's the only way I can get the delay to sound nice with distortion. But then I've got to scroll back and turn it off. And then scroll over here and turn that off. And nothing's ever quick and easy accessible. It's not like when you've got analog pedals, everything's just at your feet, or with the Line 6 HX or the Helix or other floorboards, where it's at your feet. You know, you just turn them off and on as you need them. Yeah, you have to use the scroll function list, which really, really lets this pedal down, in my opinion. And there's the G11 coming out, the Zoom G11, which is just basically exactly the same. It's just got an extra window, but you still have to use the scroll function. It's so stupid. Ha! Okay, sorry about it, everyone. We had memory card malfunction. Anyway, like I say, yeah, I definitely like the way the Wow Wow sounds now. I definitely like the distortion. It's not quite as cutting and kind of the same as the DS2 and the Jackhammer, but I'm happy. You know what I mean? There has to be a little bit of a compromise in there, and the compromise there is good enough. You know what I mean? I'm happy with the sound. It sounds great, so I'm happy with that. What else can I say? I don't think there's anything else to say really. Like I say, I'll just quickly let you know what's going on now. I've changed things around so they work more. So, just to let you know the settings of what we've got. So, my main core tone on the Zoom G5n is the MS 1959. It's basically the Marshall Plexi clone, if you will. And that's what's giving me my kind of bass tone. If I turn that off quick. So this is how the MG's set. Nothing, basically. I'll turn it up a bit more. You know, there's no real tone there. So all the tone is coming from the MS. So I'm just watching the levels, everybody. I'm not looking weird. Okay, so that's where my main kind of core tone is coming from. Everything else sits on top of that. So like I say, I've changed that since I did the pedalboard shootout because I wasn't happy at all with that sound. It sounded way too harsh and there wasn't anything to it. Somebody really wants to talk to me right now, don't they? I'll be with you in a minute. So yeah, so now what I have it set to is I have bass at 100, mid is at 100, trebles at 30, presence is at 30, input 1 is at 20, input 2 is off, volume is at 100, and yeah, and that's the way I've got that set. So now for distortion, I have the Metal World mode. Could I find another one? Possibly, but I really like the way that Metal World sounded. There's something in it. And basically, that's all set on 100. So I've gain on 100, bass on 100, treble on 100, and volume on 100. So out of curiosity, what happens with the volume? If I turn the volume down. No, in all fairness, it needs to be on 100. It's a good level for it. And that's it. So we've done it, people with a tube, as much as I can. So yeah, there we go. There's nothing else to really doodle with this. This is quite cool. I mean, it cleaned up quite well as well. I mean, it wasn't the best clean-up I've ever heard, but it's not terrible. The really thing I did like was there was two distinct sounds on the clean-up. There was this. But when you turn the volume up, it was like you turned on a pedal. You can hear it change. Hang on. So if I just hit one note and then turn the volume up, you can hear the sound totally change. It's like I've turned on a pedal. Excuse the scratchy part. You can hear it's like two different sounds, which is really cool. So I'm happy with that. I mean, that's pretty cool, to be honest with you. And like I say, that sounds. I'm going to save it actually, just to make sure. I think I already just did that. I'm an obsessive saver. I literally, if I tweak something once, I get freaked out if I don't save it. So there we go, people for tube. I'm happy with that. You know, has the Zoom pedal redeemed itself? Tonally, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a lot closer to my analog board now. That's a lot closer, and I'm a lot happier with that sound than I was this morning, or when I started the video, or yesterday, or the day before that. That is really cool, and to hear it in direct comparison is really cool. So yeah, I'm a lot happier with that now. That sounds a lot better. So I'm really happy with that. I'm still not gonna. I still can't. I'm still in love with this pedal. I still recommend it, but I still don't recommend it at the same time. Like, if you need to get things quick, this isn't the pedal for you. I could never use this live because I like to be able to kind of like turn things on quickly or off, like, and especially things like delay and choruses and stuff like that. Like, there are certain times where I like to turn delay on for one note and just let that note sing and then turn it off. But I can't do that with this because of the way I want it to be set up and the way I want it to sound. I have to have things set up a certain way. So, oh yeah, another thing too, signal chain. Let me quickly tell you about the signal chain in the top window here, how I got it set up. So, it goes from a Metal World to the WAR100 to the MS1959, then to a delay, chorus, and a whole reverb, and then out that way. And that's it. So, I don't know. But, like I say, to get from the distortion to the delay, I have to scroll one now. I've altered it, so I only have to scroll one. But still, in the heat of the moment, in like live, I'm not going to be able to do that. And also, if I scroll over to the delay and turn the delay on, and then I immediately have to turn the distortion off, I've got to get back to it really quick, and I don't like that. And also, I've done it a million times. I forget to turn things off. Like, so, for instance, I did it a bit ago with the chorus. The chorus was still on, and I left the delay on. And also, another thing as well is every now and again, I've accidentally hit these paddles on the bottom, especially the tuner. I've gone to turn on the FS1 foot switch, and I've accidentally hit both, and this is what happens. And then you're like, what's going on? Oh yeah, I've hit the tuner on. Which can be got by if you have the tuner unmuted, but you know, in this day and age, no one wants to hear people tune. You know, so you know, everyone uses a muted tuner, so you can get by that with just basically deactivating that. But then everyone has to hear you going, you know, which no one does anymore. So, anyway. Like I say, do I love this pedal? Yeah. Do I hate it? Yeah. It's a weird... I have got the weirdest relationship with this blooming thing. I really have. Does it beat my pedal board? No. It just doesn't. It doesn't get... In all fairness, I still prefer the HX as well. This sounds wicked. I love the sound of this thing so much. But it's still... sound-wise... They're definitely closer on par now. You know, the HX, my pedal board, and the Zoom, they're definitely kind of more on a level. But functionality-wise and versatility-wise, this still comes last. Like I said, I can access this at any time I want. The Zoom, the Line 6 HX, I can access anything anytime I want. This, I can't. I have to use the scroll function, which is just dumb. And yeah, so I do. It is definitely love, hate, love. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, people of the tube at this point in time. I'm going to keep it. Like I say, I do love it, and I do use it a lot. I do play through this thing a lot. I have this constantly set up downstairs. So, but for live, I would never use it live. I would use it for recording, which I have done, and I'd use it to kind of mess around with, but I wouldn't use it live, which kind of puts it out the window for me because I want something that's versatile over everything, and this doesn't quite make it. Anyway, I'm going to have to shut up and get off because I'm running out of time. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. I will see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend. And, yeah, like I say, I do recommend the Zoom G5n, but I don't at the same time. Just, you know, bear in mind what I talk about with the paddle thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, everybody, and let me know what you think to the sounds. Let me know how close you think I got. Let me know if what you reckon in the comment section below. Let me know, because I always want to hear your input as well. So, yeah. Anyway, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, everybody. Stay safe in this weirdo, crazy world we are living in. The world has gone insane. It must be insane. I'm using treble. But yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this vid, and I'll see you again Monday. Have a great one until then.